Okay, these are our division of labor notes on 10-2. These are the two-column notes. So when we make two-column notes, we always have the terms on the left side, the key terms, and then the definitions or the information about that term on the right side. Okay, a multicellular organism is an organism that is made up of more than one cell. So an example would be people. We've got lots of different kinds of cells in our bodies. Multicellular organisms have specific cells that perform specific functions, and that benefit the entire organism. Okay, that's what makes them multicellular. They've got multiple cells that have multifunctions. Okay, a unicellular organism is an organism that is only made up of one cell. An example of that would be an amoeba. Okay, it only has one cell, and that one cell has to do all the functions for the entire cell to be able to live. In a multicellular organism, we have a division of labor. What that is that one type of cell does one kind of job, while other types of cell do other jobs. So they're very specific. Cells are very specific to one function, and that's what their function is. But then they all have to work together to be able to make the organism be able to live. And all of that is called the division of labor. That's how cells are organized into tissue, organs, and the organ system. The division of labor goes from the cell, the basic unit of a cell, to tissue, to organs, to organ system, and then to the whole organism. A cell is one single cell with a specific function. Tissue is a group of similar cells that work together to perform a specific function. An example of that would be like your brain tissue. Okay? Organs are made of different kinds of tissues that all function together. Okay, like your whole brain. Your whole brain has lots of different kinds of tissues in it, and they all function together to be able to make the brain work. Okay, like many of your other organs, your heart is made up of many different kinds of tissues, and I'll show you a video here later that talks about the specific types of tissue that's in your heart. An organ system is when a group of organs work together. And then all of that together makes the organism, which is like an animal or a person. Again, the organization or the order of organization would be the cell, then the tissues. The tissues all combine together to make an organ. Organs combine together to make an organ system, and all of it comes together to make the whole organism. Make sure that you have filled out the blanks on your notes for the missing words, and if you have to rewatch the video, go back and do that if you need to. At this time, I'm going to show you a video clip that kind of explains the whole division of labor, again and with visuals, so it makes it a little easier for you to understand.
Have you ever thought about what it means to be a multicellular organism? Probably not, but maybe that's because it seems like an obvious question. I mean, if an organism has more than one cell, it's multicellular. Case closed, right? Well, let's look at an example to see how easy it really is. If we have a colony of bacteria growing in a petri dish, do we define the colony as one multicellular organism, or billions of organisms living all piled on top of each other? Let's start by defining an organism. An organism is defined as an individual living thing that is capable of responding to stimuli, growing, reproducing, and maintaining homeostasis. Because each cell in the bacterial colony can perform all of these essential functions by itself, we define each cell as its own organism. By contrast, a multicellular organism is made up of many cells that are dependent on each other to perform these essential functions as a group. The cells have divided up the labor, and each cell has become specialized to perform a specific task. This specialization is a key characteristic of multicellular organisms. But why specialize? If a cell cannot perform all essential functions on its own, doesn't that limit what it can do? The answer to this question really depends on the level of organization that you're looking at. And there are several levels of organization within an organism. Starting at the cellular level, each cell has its own set of functions and requirements that it must carry out. Most cells form groups called tissues, which are groups of cells that share a common structure and function within an organism. Tissues are the next level of organization in an organism, and are often very specialized to perform only one or maybe a few very specific tasks. For instance, muscle tissue is specialized to contract, and that's about all that it does. The next level of organization above tissues is organs. An organ is a structure composed of several different tissues that work together to perform a certain task. The tissues within an organ work together to perform more complicated tasks than any one tissue is capable of. An example of an organ would be the heart. The heart is mostly muscle tissue, but is also composed of connective tissue, which provides structure for the heart, an epithelial layer that serves as a barrier to keep the blood contained in the chambers, and nervous tissue, which regulates the heart rate. Together, these tissues perform the more complicated task of pumping blood. But we're not done yet. There's another level of organization above organs, and that is the organ system, which is a group of organs and tissues that work together to perform a major function of the organism. Let's go back to our heart example. The heart is one organ within the circulatory system, which is composed of the heart, blood vessels, and blood. The heart pumps blood, but the whole circulatory system working together circulates blood throughout the body. And finally, the last level of organization is the organism itself, which as a whole is capable of all essential functions. So back to the question of whether or not specialized cells are more limited than single-celled organisms. At the cellular level, the specialized cell is limited to performing its specific task and is more limited than a single-celled organism. However, at the organismal level, specialization and division of labor opens up almost limitless possibilities for variation of structures, and it frees multicellular organisms from the limits of single-celled organisms in terms of size and complexity. In this set of lessons, we're going to talk about